Welcome back to another video. My name is Hunter, and today we're going to get into how the NFL is shaping with just 2 weeks to play in the 2025 season. We are seeing the 2026 playoff field take shape, and with 2 weeks to go, we are seeing who gets in, who's out, and we're seeing multiple big storylines come to a conclusion as the season wraps up. But before we get into it, like and subscribe. So much content coming each and every week from now through the Super Bowl and lots of off-season content as well. So make sure to subscribe. Number 32, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. They're 2-13. They played a competitive game with the Houston Texans this past week. They had the lead at multiple points. Brock Bowers played pretty solid, but unfortunately, they don't come out on top. And they go into their biggest game of the season on Sunday against the Giants, where if the Raiders lose, they will more than likely get the number one overall selection in the 2026 draft. So lots to play for. And in that game, they're playing the New York Giants, who also sit at 2-13. It was easily Jackson Dart's worst game this past Sunday versus the Minnesota Vikings. And really, the Giants have not had much going these past few weeks, but same situation as the Raiders. If they lose this Sunday, they have the path to get the number one overall pick in next year's draft. Number 30, Tennessee picked up their third win of the year over Kansas City, where Cam Ward easily had his best game of the year. He had a couple throws that just looked excellent. He had one to the sideline to Chimere DK that looked really good, reminded me of an Aaron Rodgers type play. And Tennessee really needed to see that as the season wraps up. They have a game against the Saints upcoming where, once again, just trying to get Cam Ward that valuable experience as he wraps up his rookie year. Number 29, I have the New York Jets. They rolled out Brady Cook at quarterback and were not able to do much offensively, losing to the Saints. And the Jets just have lots of holes to patch up this offseason. Easily one of the most interesting teams in terms of what they do at the quarterback position, what they do at several skill positions. It's just a big offseason upcoming for the New York Jets. Number 28, I have the Cleveland Browns. They played a close game with Buffalo on Sunday. Myles Garrett getting another half sack, being this close to breaking the sack record. And that's the big storyline for Cleveland as this season wraps up. Can Myles Garrett break that record? As well as, are you going to see positivity out of Shedeur Sanders in his last 2 games worth of film? And lastly, Quinshon Judkins went down with an injury that will likely sideline him for next season. So what does Cleveland do at the running back position from here on out? Another interesting storyline to watch. Number 27, the Cardinals. This team's just found every way to lose for the past couple of weeks. And this week was no different. They lose to Atlanta. But continuing to see the breakout of Michael Wilson has been Arizona's best trait of this season. He's broke out into the wide receiver one spot with Marvin Harrison out due to injury. And he is definitely a player that Arizona can keep for the future, as well as a couple players that they discovered on the defensive side of the ball. Arizona, though, needs to draft some skill players in this upcoming draft. Number 26, I have the Commanders. They dropped 3 spots after their loss on Saturday to the Eagles, where Josh Johnson came in after Marcus Mariota came down with an injury. Really just sums up what Washington's had to go through this year. Lots of injuries and just unfortunate luck. And once again, the Commanders are looking to bounce back in 2026 to their form in 2024, and a big part of that will be staying healthy. Number 25, Miami Dolphins. They officially sat Tua once they got out of playoff position. In comes Quinn Ewers, and really nothing positive from him. In this game, they only really got on the board because of Devon Achane, who has been their best player the entire season. But they try out Quinn Ewers. You give him 2 more weeks, he could produce some positive highlights, but you maybe go to Zach Wilson. What does Miami do in these last few weeks? Another very interesting team as the season winds down. Kansas City is also very interesting as it seems like they've lost Gardner Minshew and Patrick Mahomes for the season now. So Chris Olave comes in. He gets his chance with 2 games to go. Potentially just putting some tape to potentially be the starter through camp in 2026. But Kansas City, it's just unfortunate the way that these last few weeks have gone, and Kansas City cannot wait for the season to be over. Number 23, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. They jump up 3 spots to number 23 as they played their best game of the year. It might be too late, but Joe Burrow, over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Chase Brown was elite. This entire offense was making plays, and the defense was getting turnovers. This game showed what could have been for the 2025 season for Cincinnati. New Orleans is potentially the most hyped up, eliminated team right now in terms of the fan base. The fan base seems like they are an all joy, even though they're eliminated from the playoffs, because the Saints look like the best team in the NFC South, despite their 5-10 record. And that's just what Tyler Shaw has done to this team in the past few weeks. He's just been able to come in and just change this offense. Kellen Moore's been able to scheme his offense perfectly because he's a similar player to how Jalen Hurts was when Moore was with the Eagles last year. And the Saints have just been able to win football games and just build momentum going into 2026. And this is exactly what you want to see if you are a fan of the Saints. Number 21, I have the Atlanta Falcons, another team that is just starting to pick up steam after they've been eliminated. They beat the Cardinals. Kirk Cousins with another solid game. Just he is trying to make his case to stay on the Falcons roster in 2026, and he has done that the past few weeks, as well as Bijan Robinson continuing to play well. Atlanta is just seeing some good things, even though their season is already over. Number 20, I have the Dallas Cowboys. They were eliminated this past weekend and then ended up losing to the Chargers on Sunday. Just defensive inconsistency has been the story of their entire season. And that was shown on Sunday versus the Chargers, just really letting Justin Herbert and that offense dominate the game against them really shows why Dallas missed the playoffs despite their stellar offense. Number 19, I have the Minnesota Vikings. They're 7-8. They've found a way to win 3 games in a row now to where they're looking like they're playing good football at the wrong time. It's a couple weeks too late, but JJ McCarthy has had a couple solid plays in the past few weeks, really changing what his identity was when they were 4-8. Even though he gets hurt in this game, it might be Max Brosmer for the last 2 weeks of the season. That was important to see progress from JJ McCarthy going into 2026. Number 18, Tampa. This team's in a lot of trouble, and they needed to win on Sunday, and a big miscommunication on the last play of the game is what makes the difference. Baker throws when Mike Evans runs the wrong way, and that's why they said it's 7-8. And it was just inconsistency for the last few weeks that has really turned this Tampa team from Super Bowl contenders from week 7, week 8 to more than likely out of the playoffs at this point. Really just need to reevaluate things, and let's see if they keep Todd Bowles as their head coach in 2026, because I think change could be coming there. Number 17, Indianapolis. They're basically with their backs to the wall now, losing when they got a great game out of Phillip Rivers, where he's thrown for over 275 yards, multiple touchdowns, really what you needed to see from Rivers to win the football game, and you get dominated by the Niners. The defense just did not do their job, and Indianapolis now needs to beat 11-4 Jacksonville next week, see Houston lose to the Chargers on Saturday, and then beat them in week 18. It's a lot to ask, and I don't think this Indianapolis team is too capable of that at this point, as they've lost now 5 games in a row. Number 16, another team in a lot of trouble. It's Baltimore. They could be eliminated this weekend with a loss and a Pittsburgh win. They have to go into Green Bay on Saturday against a very injured Green Bay team and pick up a season-saving win. And there's really no momentum that shows that Baltimore is capable of that at this point, because they've just gone week in and week out, just taking bad loss after bad loss. And this is a game they should have had. Derrick Henry should have been in the game late, and you keep him out. Just malpractice from the Ravens, where I think we need to see change. There's a good chance that John Harbaugh, this might be his last straw in Baltimore. Number 15, the Lions, another team with a really, really bad loss. As you go down the field, you take offensive pass interference penalties. They were controversial, but the Lions need to score that touchdown to make the playoffs, and they do not get it done. You lose to the Steelers, and now you need to see the Packers lose out, and you need to win out. And is the Lions capable of winning out? Yes, they are, but they need to rely on the Ravens and the Vikings to beat the Packers, and I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but it starts this Thursday. The Lions need to take care of business against the Vikings. Going to the first playoff team of my power ranking, it's Carolina, as they have not clinched yet, but are very close as they pick up the big win over Tampa. They can clinch this week with a win over Seattle and a Tampa loss. Even though Seattle is one of the best teams in the league, Carolina is just happy to be in the position that they're in. And even if they don't clinch this week, you can go beat Tampa again in week 18 and get into the playoffs. Just this week was, even though it wasn't their best performance, it was their best win. And Carolina just needed this win for their franchise, and they get it done, and they move up 3 spots to number 14. Number 13, Pittsburgh, just continuing to build momentum. I was talking about it last week. Aaron Rodgers has just turned it up as the season has went on. And for the last dance for Aaron Rodgers, he is looking a lot better than he did in New York. And as for this entire Steelers team, their backfield has just been so important in them winning football games. And Pittsburgh is super close to clinching the division. And they should frankly get it done this weekend as Pittsburgh plays the Browns, a team that was towards the bottom of the league in my power rankings. But Pittsburgh just getting good play at the right time. Number 12, I have the Green Bay Packers, who dropped 5 spots. They're 9-5-1. They're a win away from the playoffs, though. But the story is easily the Packers' injuries, as the Packers have just found ways to get more and more injured every single week. And Saturday was a loss that you can't afford to take. You're up 16-6 with a couple minutes to go. You let up an onside kick. You lose in overtime. The Packers, although they're going to make the playoffs, they need to turn things around in these last 2 weeks. Who knows who it's going to be at quarterback, if it's going to be Jordan Love or Malik Willis. Malik Willis looked good on Saturday, but the Packers just need to get some momentum going into the playoffs if they want to have any chance of doing anything in them. Number 11, Philadelphia just took care of business against Washington to clinch their playoff spot. And Philadelphia really does not have too much to play for. They won't be the 1 seed. They'll either be the 2 or the 3. But Philadelphia just needs to keep the solid play going into the playoffs. And this team is experienced, as shown by their Super Bowl win last year. And let's see if they can carry that into the playoffs this year. But Philadelphia gets the NFC East clinch this week. Number 10, San Francisco. They move up a spot. Brock Purdy, maybe his best game in a couple of years now. 5 touchdowns, just efficient offensive play. The Niners haven't punted since November. And that's insane if you were the Niners. You just need to win against Chicago and Seattle to be the 1 seed in the playoffs in a year where you lost Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, so many pieces on that defense. It's going to be insane if the Niners are able to get it done. And it's just a test to how good of a coach Kyle Shanahan is. And the Niners are in a very good spot going into the last few weeks of the season. Number 9, I have the Houston Texans. They're 10-5. I kept them there because it was too close of a call against the Raiders. Frankly, one of the worst teams in the league. And Houston did not wrap up this game until very late. And Houston just, they need to get 1 win or an Indianapolis loss to get in the playoffs. And this defense is definitely capable of carrying this team through the playoffs and through playoff games. It's just, can they get the offensive production? That's the biggest question mark with the Houston Texans at this point. Number 8, the Chargers. This week showed how complete of a team the Chargers are. They had elite defensive play the last few weeks, and this week they get elite offensive play. Justin Herbert with an insane game. Vlad McConkey, just an elite-looking offense at this point in the season. And the Chargers do have a path to win the AFC West. They need a win. They need to see their win this week and then beat the Broncos in week 18. But it's definitely possible for a Chargers team rolling at the right time. Number 7, I have the Chicago Bears. Really just getting their statement win over the Packers, redeeming themselves for 2 weeks ago where they made the wrong play late in the game. This time they take advantage of the Packers making the wrong play late in the game, and Caleb Williams with just an elite throw to DJ Moore to win the game. And the Bears are a win away from winning the NFC North. And that's something that not a lot of people would have thought before the season, but Chicago is for real. And if they take care of business, they have a very good chance to roll into the playoffs as a top 2 seed in the NFC. Number 6, Denver. I only moved them down 5 spots because some moving parts, but their win streak comes to an end as they were 1-2. They go to 12-2 with an 11-game win streak, and this week they just get outmatched by the Jaguars. But really not too worried for the Broncos. It was a really tight game for most of this game. And if they play Jacksonville again in the playoffs, it'll probably be that tight again. But Denver, they take the loss. Their momentum comes to a slide, but easily able to pick that back up in the last few weeks against the Chiefs and the Chargers. Number 5, speaking of Jacksonville, they just continue to win football games. They have just been one of the best teams in the league since their bye. Just figured everything out. Jacoby Myers is a perfect fit there. Trevor Lawrence is looking like an MVP level quarterback right now. Their defense is able to make plays. Jacksonville is for real. And they are a win away from clinching the division and rolling into the playoffs with a home game. And Jacksonville is looking very good. They moved into the top 5. Number 4, New England. able to come back in that fourth quarter to beat Baltimore, stay in control of the AFC East race. And that was just an important win for New England, just being able to get it done and getting back to their winning ways. And now tied for that number one seed. Denver does have the tiebreaker, but if they see a Denver loss and New England wins out, this team has a first round bye. And it's just an attest to how good Drake May and Mike Vrabel, that duo, has been. And just this overall team, just being able to show how complete they are. And Sunday Night Football was a perfect example of that. Number 3, I have the Buffalo Bills. They jump up a spot to number 3. As Buffalo, they play a tight game, but they're able to get it done when it matters. They got a couple key sacks late from their defense. And when their offense wasn't rolling, their defense was able to cover for them. And that just shows how this Bills team is just built to win. And this Bills team is likely the favorite in the AFC at this point, even if they have to start this playoffs on the road. And can Josh Allen potentially finish off this regular season by coming back to win the AFC East if they get some luck from New England? And can Josh Allen go through the AFC playoffs and get to a Super Bowl? It's very possible with this year's team. Number 2, I kept the Rams at number 2 despite their loss because look at Matthew Stafford, look at Puka Nacua, just maybe their most elite games of the season, and really just a couple bounces that didn't go their way that caused them to lose this one. The Rams, it was an important game to win, but you don't win. Now you're going to have to go on the road in the playoffs, but this Rams team is more than capable of doing that. This team is so talented. Obviously, they made a change of special teams coordinator. They're shoring up that side of the ball, but this team is complete on both sides, and it was an anomaly the other day with their defense letting up that many points. I don't expect them to do that next time if they played Seattle again, and that's why they're at number 2. Speaking of Seattle, they're at number 1 this week. Getting back here, they were here a couple weeks ago, but now Seattle is looking like the best team in the NFL. Kenneth Walker had his best game of the season when they needed it. The defense got destroyed in this game, but was able to make key plays when they had to. And just being able to win a shootout like they did just shows how complete the Seattle Seahawks team truly is. And Seattle, if they win out, they will be the 1 seed in the NFC playoffs and be one of the best teams in the league with a potential chance to win Super Bowl 60. And there's nothing more that Seattle could want than that right now. But that's going to do it for this week's Power Rankings. Let me know if you disagree on where I placed any team, and be on the lookout for a video coming later this week.